Hey, welcome to our daily edition of Friend of God. We're taking this directly from our new book called Friend of God, Letting Jesus Say Who You Really Are, because we really believe that when you learn how Jesus defines you, it changes how you define you. You are not the sum of your mistakes and victories. You are who Jesus says you are. You are the one He loves. Thus, you are a friend of God. And in this incredible journey through the writings of John, we see John telling us over and over again, this is what it looks like to be loved by Jesus. And so through 40 days, we're going to take a look at what Jesus is showing to John, and thus John is showing to us. That John comes to the conclusion that I am the one that Jesus loves, and thus we can come to that same conclusion. So, every day, we're going to take one of these chapters and give you just a very quick thing to think about and pray about for that day. And so here is today's episode. Chapter 7, I'm the one who receives grace and truth. Neither do I condemn you, Jesus declared. Go now and leave your life of sin. Well, one day while Jesus and the disciples are with people in the city streets, are interrupted by a dehumanizing and humiliating display of truth-telling. A group of religious leaders have caught a woman in the act of adultery, and they drag her out into the crowded street, drop her at the feet of Jesus. She's probably laying there naked. Now, in some ways, they were right. This woman was caught in the act of adultery. She needed to be dealt with in the Jewish law on this. But it's interesting. She's the only one there. Where's the guy? They let him off the hook on this? They drag her out at the feet of Jesus. They're trying to trap him. What's he going to say? What's he going to do? And they're taking the moral, religious high ground on all of this. And Jesus, this is so fascinating. Jesus bends down, starts to write on the ground with his finger. Now, this is interesting because the ability to read and write was kind of like the ability to understand ChatGPT in 2024. It's a new technology. And not everybody knows how to do it. Jesus is at the cutting edge of technology, able to read and write. He's writing something on the ground. They keep questioning him. And then he says, let any one of you who's without sin be the first to throw a stone at her. And then he stops and he starts writing on the ground again. And at this time, those who heard him began to go away one at a time. Here's a question for Jesus when we get to heaven. What were you writing? Because there's a theory that he was writing down the sins of those people standing around him. That'd be pretty fascinating. But here's what's also interesting. The people that leave, they leave in the order of oldest to youngest. Why is that? Because the oldest know what they've done. The youngest are still a little bit superior as far as, you know what, I don't have any problems. I'm fine. They all start bailing, and now it's just Jesus and this woman. And this is where Jesus perfectly displays the difference between grace and truth. Jesus gives her grace by saying, I don't condemn you anymore. I don't condemn you at all. But then he gives her truth and he says, go and leave your life of sin. In other words, you're made for more than this. I think every single one of us tends to lean a little bit on one side or the other of the grace and truth teeter-totter. For some of us, we're all grace. All you need is love. Surely Jesus wouldn't be upset with anybody. Everything's fine. But some of us lead too much on the truth side. We just want to wear everybody down, let everybody have it. And you're making a point, but you're not making a difference. Jesus is the one that's able to blend the two perfectly. So let me ask you, what if today you identified which way you tend to lean? And I've noticed it's sometimes different based on people. Even with your own kids, there's one that you lean more on grace and one you lean more on truth. And what if we began to develop a little bit of a better blend of both of these? Start overemphasizing the other to go along with your natural persuasion to do just one. But then don't forget that this is exactly what Jesus does with us. And so pray this prayer with me. Jesus, thank you for loving me enough to give me truth and grace. Well, I hope that was helpful for you today. Take that with you throughout the remainder of your day. We'll be back tomorrow with another daily edition. Make sure you check us out on YouTube and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. And we'll be back tomorrow with another daily edition of Friend of God.